Hello everyone, I hope all of you are fine. So I want to talk about writing. Now, until now I have worked in so many different schools, okay, and my experience now, it is not limited to just one emirate in UAE. It's actually in 3 emirates in UAE and different schools, which also means not all the schools were not just one curriculum but different curriculums. And right now my experience right now in Dubai is in MOE curriculum school. Before that I had even in American curriculum, and even in two other curriculums. So it's like four different curriculums. So but the common problem that I have seen in all different schools and in all different curriculums, what I normally hear teachers saying is that they can't do writing. But I don't hear them saying that let's think of a way in which writing becomes like understandable, something that they can comprehend, something that they can understand. While I was still gaining my experience through all of these curriculums, I never actually, the same problem that I see other teachers having, this problem, I never had this problem. I never experienced. Yeah, I would get the kids who wouldn't be able to write, but when I am with them, or learning, teaching and learning and studying over a period of time, not just one time, like 2 months, 3 months. So within 1 month, I'm able to change this thing with them. Like everywhere I have gone, I was able to really solve this problem. And to me, like right now, I know that it is the problem in most of the schools. But while I was just in my second or third experience, or second or third school, I really didn't know that this was actually a problem. When I really moved from Abu Dhabi to Sharjah, and then I came to Dubai even. So now I'm really seeing that this is actually, it's not just the problem of one school, but it's a kind of problem that most of the schools are actually experiencing. Most of the schools, most of the curriculums, even the best curriculums would have this problem with their struggling learners. Yeah, they would be able to make the ones who are good in literacy skills, they would be able to ask them, okay, now you write. So they would be able to write because their literacy skills would already be good. So only those kids would be writing. But even then, you further have some problems even with them, that are they really following the pattern? Are they really following the steps of writing? So, or are they just randomly putting whatever the ideas are coming to their mind, they'll just put them all in one paragraph. So even further, there would be problems even with the ones who are writing, but the ones who are not, whose literacy skills are really not good, and they have not mastered the basic literacy skills. Those kids, those learners in all curriculums, those learners in all schools will struggle, starting from when they really at the point where they really were at a grade level or in a class where the literacy skills, basic skills, had to be mastered, and they couldn't master those skills. Let's say maybe because of poor teaching, or let's say because they moved schools a lot, or maybe because they couldn't attend the lessons that regularly. There could be a lot of problems. There could be even the problems, let's say even in teaching, let's say the teacher wasn't able, or maybe she couldn't build the skills that well. So there could be different reasons for the kids at the basic level not honing the skills they really need, the literary skills they really need, the basic ones. Okay, so of course, if they passed that time where the basic skills are honed, okay, and they pass from that grade level to the next one, so they will keep on moving to other grades. That gap that got created will keep on moving to other grades, and they will never write. They will never write. The teachers will make do with, let's say, some easy task, or just to keep them. And the word that is being used a lot is to keep them engaged. Now this same word, many different teachers understand it differently. How I see it is, for me, engaged is when the mind is comprehending, really understanding what's given to it, and it really sees point in it. Okay, it's engaged because it's thinking about what's given. To others, engaged would be just to keep them physically busy. So of course, those kids who are already now struggling because of the poor literary skills, they will be kept busy. They will be kept busy all the time. And the ones who are not struggling with literary skills, okay, so it's almost like most work is being done on them. And the same as the story everywhere. So my point here is that wherever I was working, I didn't face this problem that the kids wouldn't write. I never faced this problem. Really. So I really feel like that if this problem has to be solved on like a national level, if it has to be really solved, if the ministry really gets involved into really solving this problem and really giving the writing lesson in the way as the kids would understand, not just teaching from the PowerPoint and asking them to you write. Okay, so now they can't, because There is a way in which kids learn. And I feel like most of us, since we are now adults, so we really can't see through it. We really can't see from the perspective of those young minds, those young small humans. They will not see that PowerPoint the way we see it. We see it as, oh, it has a lot of information in it. Oh, it's giving a lot of information about descriptive writing. Oh, this PowerPoint has a lot of details, meanings, what the writing, opinion writing is. So the way we see it, those young learners don't see it like that. And most of us, what we are really doing is that if it's a writing lesson, we are standing and teaching, standing and talking and teaching. No. From how I see, writing lesson is a doing lesson. From the first minute you enter class, everyone is in that, everyone has got conditioned to really start right away. No teaching from PowerPoints. Only the first time when you're really introducing it. For me, this is my way. And now since I'm talking about it, I'm only talking about it because it's my authentic strategy. It's my own way of really teaching kids how to write. I wouldn't go in and open the PowerPoint in a writing lesson and just blah, 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 talking to them. Because talking and writing, they won't understand. Many teachers literally would waste a lot of time just because, oh, now we need to do brainstorming. You can do brainstorming while they are on task. You can talk about a lot of ideas while the kids are on task. So it's like wherever I'm going, I'm like, okay, here also the kids are struggling. Here also the writing is a problem. Even in American curriculum, there also the kids would be, because this same story about problem with the writing is everywhere. It's so, like, in every curriculum you will see this. And just like I said before, even in the curriculums where you will not see this problem, the struggling writers, the struggling learners would still have this problem. They would still be kept busy with something else just because they don't have the basic literary skills, and they won't be able to write. So the way I am really teaching them, because it's not just one school where I was able to really make them to understand what writing actually is, how to write, how to really perfect and really polish their skills in writing. And when I really talk about writing, I'm not talking about that, author kind of writing, because it also, if from the beginning we expect from them to write at a master level, oh, give me a whole thesis about it, oh, give me a whole essay about it, we're not starting from the basic level. The gap will always be there. So when I am teaching them, my focus is on filling those gaps, starting from the basic level, really making them see what writing actually is. So with me, the learners are never struggling in writing, never, no matter whatever level, at whatever level they are, they're never struggling in writing. They're really getting to understand it. Their mind is really seeing point in what it is. Since I started noticing it during my time of working in different schools, since I started seeing that really all the teachers are struggling with this skill, all the teachers, all the schools, different curriculums even are struggling with this problem. Even in my first American curriculum school, I would notice this is because this, whatever I'm saying is all from experience. It's all from, I'm not sitting here just saying whatever is random things are coming to my mind. I myself personally, I really like to talk about things if it is really authentic, coming through an experience, if I have really come up with an authentic strategy. Because to me, in my eyes, like, I am disrespecting my own self if I copy someone else's strategy, if I would copy someone else's ideas, or if I would copy someone else's words, whatever terminology, such as independent learning and learners who are not dependent on you, or struggling writers, struggling readers, and even the strategies in teaching phonics. I only talk about it because it's my own, coming through my own critical thinking, coming through my own observation, and which is something that I really feel that all teachers should really be thinking and working with their kids through really good observation, through making their own observations, through making their own judgments, through really thinking, okay, this kid is at this level, what could I really give to this kid that his mind can make sense of what is being given, and also he can also move closer towards that goal in the same skill, because we are not just keeping them physically engaged. Our goal should be to really make them mentally engaged, which means the learner starts seeing point in whatever is given. They are physically, in most of the places I see this, that they are physically kept engaged by lots of Kahoot, lots of Nearpod, and even tasks that are just one-time tasks, not building towards any skill, that are by continuous repetition of it. Okay, so that's why they're always they don't see point in learning. And we might feel like, many teachers might feel like this thing that, working on the tasks or really discussing something that is a part of that skill might be boring. No, it's not boring. Now, I'm saying this from my experience. I'm saying this from my experience because my learners always progress, no matter wherever I am. No matter even if I am with the toughest kids to really teach in UAE. And you know what kind of kids those are. The tough ones. to really make them see point in what's given. So when the learner starts seeing point, when the learner making sense of, oh, so this is like this. Oh, okay, so we write like this. Okay, so there is an idea. So we are just going to talk about that idea, the same idea. So make them see point in whatever you are giving them. Okay, so that's when the mind starts making sense of the material, starts making sense of the task, starts making sense of the similar patterns that you're using with them again and again. The mind gets conditioned to looking at it, and it starts making sense of it. Not like each day there is a random new task. Especially with the kids who are lacking literary skills, and you're changing their tasks all the time. The task doesn't look the same, even if it's a different skill, but it needs to look the same. Even if you are, and that's the problem with copying tasks from Google. That's the problem, because you're confusing your learner all the time. You're not giving them a pattern to follow. So when they will start seeing point in what you are giving them, when their mind starts making sense of what they have to work on and what the teacher is teaching, that's where it's not boring anymore. Even if it could be a boring topic, could be the topic of adjectives, but it will stay boring in the way you will teach it, in the way that you will give the task to them. That's boring. It's not boring just because the topic is boring. No, the way you will teach it, the material you will use with them. Are you using a lot of wordy PowerPoints that are of no use with the learners? Wordy PowerPoints? Are you just reading what's on the PowerPoint, or are you really talking to them? Okay, so let's see who is the tall kid over here. Okay, tall boy Ali. So okay, so you are relating it to them. They will be. You won't even believe what things their minds are going to remember and think about when you're really relating the things to them. And then when you give them the task should make sense also in their mind. If you're able to teach it well, but the task is not making sense, again you confuse them. Again they got bored. They got bored not because the topic was bored. They got bored because the mind is not making sense of what you're giving them. So in whatever school or in whatever curriculum, no matter how many different kinds of kids or how many different levels I'm working with, I'm always able to show progress with them. In not just the writing, but in all different skills. I'm able to show progress with their own real performance. Okay, so I never face this issue of me having to increase their marks. I never face this issue, because they really will be performing through the teaching and the practices and the reinforcements of the same things that I really want them to have, really want them to acquire, really want them to be using in their work. So writing is teachers would be able to really work on the other skills, but writing is something that is, I feel like it's the problem in all the schools in UAE. And I also really feel like this, that the writing tasks and the writing patterns and the writing strategies that I am really coming up with and I'm using with my kids and with my learners, I really feel like it would be helpful totally at the national level. Like all educationists would be able to really make use of those strategies and those tasks and that way of teaching writing. And they would be able to show progress even with their kids, and not just giving up on the struggling learners just because they can't write. So I have samples, and I keep the writing samples, especially now that I know that it's a problem with most of the teachers, and it's a problem with most of the learners in most of the schools. So I'm keeping my samples of writing tasks that the kids do with me. So right now I have the samples of the tests that I was doing this week, and I have created tests on four different levels. Normally, teachers would be they would be making one task, or they would be making at the most 3 tasks, and that's it. They would be going by that rule, not more by looking at what they have in front of them. So I have 4 different levels. Okay, so I'm going to show you samples of the kids who are just in grade 4, and they are understanding the pattern of writing. They are writing, they are doing that difficult kind of writing where you really have to follow the steps, not just the basic level where they have the picture and then they just write about it, or where they have the sentences where they'll complete. Everyone is not having that same task. So I am making different tasks in writing lessons as well, and then when it comes to testing them, I again test them on their level. So I made tests also on those 4 different levels. So let me show you all the different levels, and you will see how much they are actually writing. Now imagine if all of the learners, all over the UAE, if all of them are writing just like this, learning writing just like this. Just imagine what a big help is going to be to the teachers, and not just the teachers but actually to the learners, because I feel more happy when learners really progress from my own authentic strategies and they really start performing. It gives me like a high, it gives me like a super high when their mind is making sense of the skill I'm trying to teach them. So I'll pick out the papers and I'm going to show you the performance of the kids at their own level. Okay, so as I mentioned before, that I'm keeping the writing samples because this is something that I'm so proud of, and I am so confident even in saying this thing that I don't think that there is anyone who is able to do this much writing, like work on the writing skill this much and really make their kids hone that writing skill the way that I'm doing. I'm literally thinking, because wherever I'm going, I'm seeing adults are thinking on the adult level. They are not thinking on the kids level. And if you're not thinking on the kids level, on the student, and by kids, I don't mean thinking on a small level. No, thinking from the learner's perspective, thinking from how their mind would be looking at things, how their mind are understanding. So if we are not able to even think on that level, it means further we won't be able to think on different levels that are in that same age that you have. But sometimes I really am wondering, and I'm really thinking that if I was in the ministry, if I was really working on that level where I could really control the academic side of things, there would be no learner, there would be no school, there would be no educational system that would be struggling with writing. There would be no learner that would be left behind on this skill, because to get to the writing skill, you have to really work first on the reading skill. So the learners are just dragged from one grade to another, and it's not just the one school. It's not, and it's also not, and everywhere, it's not because they don't want to help the kids. They are trying, everyone's trying their best to help the kids, but the problem is that as adults, we just think on adult level. We are not able to, in a way, adjust our own thinking to the level of to the age, to the level that we have, and then further the levels, different levels of understanding, different levels of comprehension, different levels of working within the same grade, within the same age. So that's the problem. It's not because teachers don't want to help their kids, or they just are not that invested into really thinking about what can I really do to make this kid read, what can I really do to make this kid write, what can I really do to solve this problem that is that my learners are facing. So if you are so heavily invested only into thinking about these things, only then you will be able to really modify the tasks, modify the test, create good testing levels, create good assessment, create good teaching practices. Because to move to assessment, you can't really have an effective assessment if you don't have effective teaching strategies. Okay, and the teaching strategies even that I'm using are authentic. Nobody had to sit me down, nobody had to teach me, because the way, even when I was a student, even when I was growing and going through that time of high school, going through that time where I was doing my own degrees, doing my own learning, and then in my first year of teaching, my mind was always on how to do it. My mind was always on how like making sense of things on my own, and not depending on what the people are saying, not depending first like right away going to Google and seeing what it means. No, first making my own understanding, first thinking of how I understand it, and then compare it to what is on Google. And then I have always gone by this thing. I'm naturally in this like a critical thinking all the time. Okay, so this is the terminology. So what can it actually mean? Thinking in my own mind, and then going on Google and then comparing what different people say about it. Then synthesis. Okay, so now after a lot of experience, what I'm really understanding, what I'm really coming up with, what I'm really concluding is that a teacher would really be able to help her learners or his learners if they themselves are critical thinkers. Because if they are not critical thinkers, they would just keep on going by the rules. Okay, so I have to give this, this writing is next, and this is the part point. Okay, I have to give this, this is my job, I have to give this. But they won't be going more by what kind of learners they have in front of them. This is their constant critical thinking. What do I have? Okay, observations. Okay, so this is what the learner is working like, or this is what the learner's understanding is. So what can I do? Okay, what kind of task should I give them? So critically thinking all the time, critically observing your learners, and then critically really working on the task. When you are making the task, those learners levels should be in your minds. It's like all the time critical thinking. And this is what I notice most of the time, that wherever I have gone, when the critical thinking is absent in teachers, their learners suffer. Their learners are just dragged through the grades. One after they are dragged through the grades, not making any improvement. And it's not. I'm not talking about any one system here. I'm talking about wherever I have worked. The learners struggle. The learners struggle because the teachers are not able to see through their perspective. The teachers are not using a lot of critical thinking. They're just depending on others to give them the knowledge. They're just depending on others to really tell them how to teach a certain skill, when they themselves should be really masters in those in teaching those skills, really reading the standards on their own. I remember for the first time when I had to work in a curriculum, when they gave me CS, because it comes, that's how the seriousness is created. You get an email, they tell you that this is the standard, and they tell you that this is the skill they want to see your demo on. So even from the first time, when I really had to go in and give the demo on that standard and that skill, I did not depend on Google to tell me what was the meaning of that standard, because I wanted, because this is not naturally. It's almost like I feel like it's disrespectful for me, for my mind, to really depend on what someone else is saying. I would want to really think about it on my own first, really read and really try to understand on my own what it means. So if you're critically really analyzing all the things that you have to go through, critically making your own understanding, your own thinking about the things, you are naturally on a mode where you are critically analyzing, critically thinking about all the things, critically thinking about your learners, critically thinking about the topics, how to modify them to make it in a way, or to give them the teaching in a way that their mind makes sense of it. Then give them the tasks on different levels in a way that their mind makes sense of it. Okay, so that's my own way of teaching the learners, and that's why my learners are always progressing. Even the toughest kids, I had the toughest students when I was working in Sharjah. I had the most toughest kids that most teachers would give up on those kids, not because I'm not talking about the behavior, but it's because if they're lacking, let's say, most of the skills, they have not honed most of the literary skills, so it's going to be very hard to really make them work on the grade level. So here critical thinking comes in from the teacher's side, that am I going to stick to the grade level, or am I going to really modify to the students' understanding? So you are going to make decisions. If you are not going to critically thinking and making decisions according to the learners that you have, your kids won't progress. So here I keep on thinking, I've seen this problem of writing a lot, that I'm really thinking that if I was at a position where I could really change things academically, not just in one school, but I would really feel happy if I could change it at a national level, because the strategies that I'm using, the way my kids are really showing progress, my kids at a young age, they are really writing a lot, and it's almost like other people, when they see it, it's almost like they're like surprised and they're like shocked. And even in two schools, actually, the admins before the probation, they actually called me to talk about it, that what is it that I'm doing, that the kids are actually writing is something that they would be able to really understand and really do it. So like the admins literally would ask me about what my strategies, So I'm really feeling that if I have this thing, and let's say if I'm really able to help everyone, let's say at a national level, it would be superb. Because I know this thing. That the strategies that I'm using, no other teacher is using those strategies. No other teacher is doing writing in that way. It's not possible, because it's authentic. It's coming only from me. So how is it I'm not copying it from Google, not taking it, not cheating it from anywhere? So those strategies and those patterns and the way I have made tasks to really address the needs at every level, that's why the kids are progressing, and that's my own authentic strategy. Can't be found on Google. So if it can't be found on Google, it's with no one else. It's with no one else. So I keep thinking about this thing, that how big of a help it's going to be at a national level if all teachers get to understand that way of working. All teachers get to understand that way of teaching the writing skill. If all learners really get to work on those patterns, all learners really get to improve their skill of writing through using those patterns, through using, and not just the patterns, but it's also the way of teaching. As I mentioned before, that I'm not going by that way, that traditional way, or that typical way of teaching writing from PowerPoint. I'm not going by that. I use PowerPoint only the first time. In any other writing lessons, I'm never using PowerPoint, but directly in the class, okay, objectives, quick, and we get to writing. And even when they enter the class, when they come to school on that day, before doing the lesson, like the understanding of what it's going to be about. Like, I have created, and it's again my strategy, so I'm not going to talk deeply about it because it's my own, so I really want it to stay authentic. So I built so much knowledge even prior to the lesson that once they enter that writing, they already have ideas about it. They already know what theme, what thing to focus on. So everyone is then working on that similar theme. Everyone is working on that similar thing, but through different patterns. This is also why the learners are totally lost when the teacher would be like totally different. Okay, one is going to write about, let's say, the carnivore animals, one is going to write about AI, one is going to write about different countries. So it's so much confusion. It's chaotic. You are just giving them different topics. It's okay, they'll be physically engaged, or maybe they'll be with their pencil, with their pen, with their notebooks, thinking about it, but it's not enough understanding going on. What we really have to work is on the understanding. If they make sense of that skill, that thing you want them to do, naturally the output will come, naturally the writing will come. So these strategies that I'm using with kids at every school, and I'm modifying and I'm creating writing task patterns, are my own. And I'm 100% sure that no other teacher has this, because I have created it. No other teacher is working in that way. So that's why in most of the schools, writers, they don't have enough writers. The kids are struggling with this writing skill, and they are just passing their years, passing their time, being dragged from one grade to another, not writing, just because they are lacking literary skills, and not just the literary skills. Okay, even if they have literary skills, they might make just one paragraph and give it to you. This is my writing. But there are a lot of things that have to be followed while writing, a lot of steps that have to be followed. And if you're able to make young kids understand those patterns, young kids understand those steps of writing, young kids understand that how writing has to be dealt, and it's not just randomly whatever came to your mind on the paper. If they're able to understand this, it's like, I would say bravo to you, because no one else is doing it and you are doing it. So right now I'm saying bravo to my own self. So I keep thinking that if I'm able to change things academically on the national level, how big of a help it's going to be for all of the learners, all of the systems, all of the education systems and teachers at the national level. Like all the schools are going to have the kids who are really writing. All the systems are going to have teachers that would be really able to understand, okay, so this was not right to teach, I should really switch to that. Okay, so it would be it would be hard to really change the way teachers think, because we are all adults. We really can't, when we grow up and when we are professionals, we are not always accepting what we lack, or where we are lacking the understanding. It's hard to accept that, but the learners are where we can really make that's what I feel like is that's your ground, that's your base, where you really get to learn a lot. You will learn more from really getting close to the understanding level and working level of your kids. You will learn more about education from observing them, as compared to what you will learn from the terminology on Google, or the books on Google, or the written materials on Google. Okay, those people who wrote that, they also went through that to write it. So unless we really go through it, unless we really, it's like a playground for you. You learn in that playground more than what you will learn from written texts. You're going by written text. You will have to memorize and remember. You are just at remembering level, but you are not experiencing it in the real life. You're not really experimenting. You're not really applying what you are critically thinking. Okay, this maybe I could do this. Apply it. See how it works. So you're not going by that. It's all lacking. It's all missing. So even the written texts, written things, or knowledge on Google won't be of any help. So here I'm going to share with you the samples, and I never throw the samples of especially writing. I might discard other stuff, but I never discard the writing samples, even from the previous year. Again, I had tough kids, no understanding of writing, wouldn't know how to write, but then I made them write. Now I again had the kids who didn't have any understanding of the steps of writing, didn't understand how the writing really goes. Again, from the first term, they were writing in first term 1. So this is something that shows you how successful you are in really teaching that skill that everyone else is really finding hard to really teach. So here I have 4 levels with me, and when I say 4 levels, it doesn't mean that all of the teachers are going to have 4 levels. You might have 5, you might have 6, you might have, and levels all comes by needs, how many needs you have. So like not really keeping yourself limited to, oh, we have to make 3 tasks. Oh, there should be 3 groups, group A, group B, and group C, and then cramming everyone into those groups. No, you go by what you have, and then you divide them. This is again my own authentic, understanding my own authentic strategy, how I understand things, and then how I apply them with my learners. Not copied from anyone, not cheated from anyone, authentic, my own strategy. So now I have I made 4 levels with the kids. So I'm going to show you the basic level that I have. Okay, the level where I have to support kids with things that we teach them in KG and grade 1. Okay, so look at their writing. Even they are writing. So you can imagine how much practice, how much of I wouldn't say practice, but how much of a good, understandable kind of practice for the learner I must have done with them, for them to get to the level where they are actually writing. So it's again modified. It's modified for them. Okay, and this is the assessment, like the paper where I'm testing them. And before giving them this pattern, I give them the patterns while I'm doing lessons, writing lessons with them consistently. Okay, so they get a lot of practice there where they are able to then perform on their assessment. So this is the basic level where you can see that that the kid understood what is being expected from the kid, and the kid is performing on his own level, which again, many teachers think of this as making it easier. It's not about making easier, it's about making it exactly according to what would also be a bit challenging and would push the kid to perform, and at the same time exactly according to his need, his level. So what I showed you is the basic level, and I showed you only one kid. Now let me show you another kid on that same basic level. Okay, so this here I have another kid working on that same basic level. Even that kid is writing. So my point here is that the kid is writing. The kid is reading also, understanding also, picking the words as well, and then getting to the part where the kid has a story and the kid is filling in the parts of the missing parts of the story. So the kid is performing. It's not like the kid left it blank, because when we are not working well on how to really modify it perfectly, you will have tasks empty, you will have exam papers empty. But with me, the kids, the tasks that I'm giving to the kids, and especially the assessments, the tests that I'm giving to the kids, are never empty, because they are able to understand it. That's what you have to work on, this, to make them understand whatever you are giving them. So this was the second paper. Now let me show you one more paper where the kid is again on that basic level. Okay, the same basic level that I talked about, KG and grade 1. So the kid is writing. The kid wouldn't lose points. The learner is not going to miss out. The learner is not going to go back with this anxiety of not understanding how to do it, not understanding what it is, not understanding what is in the exam. So my strategy is to save them from this anxiety, and then again, not copy. I haven't copied it from Google. This is what I want to do. I don't want them to experience anxiety when I'm teaching them, when I am putting them through practices, when I'm assessing them. No, zero anxiety. I don't want any anxiety, because anxiety would let me know that whatever I'm using with them, they don't comprehend it. Their mind is feeling disrespected because they don't understand it. So I need to modify it. Okay, and whatever I'm saying, again, I'm saying this thing that I am not cheating anything from Google. Even if you're finding something similar on Google, this is the best part of critical thinking. This is the best, like the critical thinkers, they will naturally get to the right understanding, because they're really critically thinking. Knowledge is always generated because knowledge is already inside of your mind. You just have to critically think and reach it. That's why if I'm doing something and it's working with kids, because I'm critically thinking and reaching to that right understanding where, and that thing I can apply it with kids, and it's always going to work. It's always going to work. There is no way it's not going to work. I'm that confident, and that's why I'm seeing, the performance from them on the assessments, where we really have to see how well they are performing, because then we will be comparing, and then we will be able to know through measuring their progress, through measuring their, how they are working, how their performance. Only then we would be able to know if there is real progress. Because progress, okay, then you measure it, and then you know if there was really improvement in them. Now I'm going to move to the level that is above the basic level, where I'm not working with them on the basic level of KG or grade 1, but I would be now working with the level where, let's say they have problems in spellings, but they are not at KG level. They're not at KG level where I have to really sit down with them, or where I really have to give them something that's totally not at that grade level, where it's totally basic. So now the next level is where I can work with them at grade level, but using simplified, simple terminology, simple, quick and simple tasks, and something where I'm doing a lot of scaffolding. I'm giving giving a lot of support and doing a lot of scaffolding to really bring them to what I want them to do, really bring them to writing an intro, really bring them to writing a body, really move them and push them to writing that conclusion by giving support inside of their task, giving support inside of their assessment. So with support, then they will be working on that grade level. They will be giving me intros. They will be giving me body and conclusion, because I put in the support. This is that level, and this is above basic. So I'm going to show you their writing, and you would be shocked and surprised, because everyone who sees my work, they're like totally surprised. How come at grade 4 level they're writing? So it's not just the one school, but in different curriculums. Even as I mentioned before, that they would call me before the probation would even end. They would call me and they really ask me about it, that how come the kids are writing. So I'm going to show you the paper from that level. Now here, look, this is how I have modified it for that level, where I am giving them, I'm scaffolding that skill, those questions, those materials for them. I'm giving them support inside, so they will use that support to reach to that thing that I want them to really do at the grade level. So I want them to write intros, I want them to write body, I want them to write conclusion. I've given a lot of support here. So I've given them really good pattern. I've modified it so well for them that they will write intro, they will write the body, and they will write conclusion, even if they're not, they would be writing less than the levels that are higher than their level, but still they are writing, they're making sense of. And these kids, like, literally they're talking to me as normal. Okay teacher, in intro we will write this. Okay teacher, in body we will write this. That's how good their understanding gets with the kinds of tasks and teaching that I give them. So this is one kid on this level. Let me show you another kid on this same level, to whom I'm giving scaffolding and support inside the task and the tests even. So see, this is the other kid now, and even that kid is doing step 1, where we are just planning. That kid is doing step 2, where he is now thinking about the story. And I have given support. I'm not going to go into detail of how I'm scaffolding or how I'm giving support, but I have put in support for them. And now when they reach the last step, look, even at this level the kids are writing. All of my kids are writing. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of this thing, really. Everywhere where I'm working, in every school wherever I'm working, and I see everyone struggle with this skill that is the hardest and toughest to deal with, but then I'm not struggling with it. So you kind of feel proud about this thing, that it is something that only you can do. So now let me move to the level higher than, because I use colors. It's more fun. Instead of giving them the fruit names and this and that, best is, like, I have noticed this thing, they all relate more with colors. So now the next color, or the next level, which is higher than the one that I showed you now, is this one. So let me open the writing part. Again, look, how careful they were with their writing, that you know what happened at this level, what the kids did. And this is not even the highest one, this is still second level. So look, step 1, they did their planning. Look, step 2, they did their writing. Step 3, intro, body, conclusion. And you know what they did? They asked me for an extra paper because they wanted to write more. Because through daily, how I'm talking to them, I'm chatting with them, they understand I want to see ideas. And if I do see ideas in their work, they know this thing, that if we are giving smart ideas in our writing to the teacher knows we are smart, and the teacher is going to change our color as well. So it's not just about this thing that, oh, the color will be changed, so let's write. No, it's not just because of that they are writing. It's because of the good teaching as well. It's also because of the material and the way of teaching, the strategies that are understandable, that their mind understands. That's why they get to this level where they would be writing more than, let's say, the kids in grade 10. They would be showing more understanding of the steps of writing, more than the kids in higher grades, 9, 10, 7, 8, would be showing more understanding. It all depends on how you really tackle this skill with the learners that you have. So they asked me for extra paper to write more. So then I gave them extra paper. They added more ideas in step 2 and more. So you see how bulky, how much of a writing. I expected this much. They took extra papers at this level to write. Let's look at another paper of the kid who is in this level. So this is the paper. Look, the kid is performing on step 1, step 2, step 3. They are writing. This is why when in the beginning, I really didn't know that writing was actually a problem in most of the schools. I didn't know this thing. But when I kept on moving to new schools, and I kept on noticing the same problem, I would talk to teachers and they would say the same thing. Then only I understood that this is actually a larger, bigger problem, where not everyone would be able to really critically think and really understand how to really tackle this problem, how to really solve this issue from the root, like rip it out from the root, really. So anyways, now I'm going to show you another paper of another kid, and from the tasks and from the kind of assessment and the progress. And no, I wouldn't really use the word progress for this kid, because this kid is actually like a genius kid, like a gifted one. Like, his capabilities are not limited to any one, category that you would name. Like, you can't just say that he's only gifted. He has a lot of different capabilities. Okay, so now I have created another more two. I had already the 2 groups, but I wasn't using those 2 groups, names of those 2 groups with the kids. But now, I have moved this kid to even the highest level of where the name of that group is violet. So I have moved him, like first I moved him to purple, and then now I have moved him to the violet one, just because of the kind of genius he is. And we can be okay. We have to be okay with saying this thing, that this kid is a genius. We shouldn't think about that, oh, how the other kids would think, because this is also where our acceptance, we teach acceptance to kids, because not everyone is going to be a leader, not everyone is going to be a master in all the things. And kids really need to understand and learn this thing, that there will be people who would be doing better than us, It's like a good self-awareness for them. When they start understanding this thing, they would really accept that they have to put in the effort. But if you put them all at the same level, if you give them all the same feedback, if you treat them all in the similar way, they would never have a good self-awareness. They would never really accept that they also have to put in the effort. So now I'll show you the paper of the kid whom, just because he was already a perfectionist in his work, but then he also has this element of being a genius. He's a genius. I really feel that this kid would really move on to the international level. So this is now the paper of that kid. Okay, look at this. Again, you will see a lot of writing. Again, you will see performance on every step of writing, and understanding of every step of writing, understanding of the use of sequence words, understanding what planning actually is, understanding what are the events in the story, understanding now how we will conclude the writing, and all the, like, every rule, every expectation that I have given them, he has followed every expectation. No spelling mistakes, no weird spaces in the middle of the words, no words are actually merged together where they look like one word. Like, there is a lot of expectation. Your learners need to understand that you have expectation from them, but not just expectation if you just right away give them the expectation and expect them to perform, they won't, because you haven't modeled it for them, you haven't taught it to them consistently. You teach them really well, you modify and really create the tasks very well consistently for them, for that particular skill where you want them to perform. Okay, very good modification, very good understanding of the levels that you have in front of you, and giving them tasks and practicing those expectations you have of them, you practicing those expectations with them, and then putting them through the test, and they will perform. With me, they always perform in any school, wherever I am. Even I would have the kids on which everyone would literally give up, not by saying that we are giving up, but just not doing anything with them, accepting that this can't be changed. So I have this this kind of stubborn thing, maybe that's why it's helping me in really changing what has become normal. Okay, they can't write, it's normal, no one can write, or only 10% would write. So this kind of normal, I have cracked this kind of normal. Wherever I'm working, I make them write. I make them write, not by just saying, okay, this is a task you have to write. No, strategies. It all depends on how you will teach it, and then the performance on the test will depend on how well you taught them, how well you were able to understand them, how well you were able to modify the tasks for them, how well you tackled them while it was your teaching time with them. Then they will perform. And with me, they're always performing. So here I shared with you 4 different testing levels that I created for my kids to perform on, and you can see that there is not even a single kid who has left the paper empty, just because of the anxiety of not understanding it, just because of whatever he's seeing, he doesn't understand what it is, he doesn't understand how to do it, he doesn't have enough prior practice on that skill. So no such problems in writing I never faced. That's the reason why I'm doing this video, to really share this thing, that I am also here in UAE, but I am not facing this problem. So I hope that somehow the teachers would be able to really understand their learners, modify their tasks, do enough practice with them, and really make them right, and really grade them exactly on what the kids are performing on. I hope that you would get some tips here and there, although I didn't talk much in detail, but I shared that kids really can do it, and there is no concept of them, there is no concept of they can't do it. When we say they can't do it, it actually literally means I can't do it, I can't understand them, I can't modify the tasks according to their need, and I can't practice well with them. So never say they can't do it. They can. Their minds are sponges, literally sponges. They can learn whatever you want them to learn, but you have to teach it and practice it the right way. Thank you so much.